I am June Marfori, a trainer, a senior consultant, and a director of Power New Philippines. And I welcome you to our webinar, Better Supply Chains, the new decade's focus on business competitiveness and sustainability edge. This complimentary webinar is brought to you by Power in You. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker. Our speaker is Charlie Villaseñor. He's a well-known procurement and supply chain icon in Asia and globally for his advancement of ethics in excellence and e-enablement in procurement and supply chain management. This has brought him to affiliations and engagements at the board and advisory levels of organizations like the International Federation of Procurement and Supply Chain Management, United Nations World Trade Organization, and Universidad de los Andes in Bogota, Colombia, and some other and many other board functions in many corporations. He is the founder, chairman, and CEO of PASIA, the Procurement and Supply Institute of Asia, as well as Transprocure, a leading global procurement and supply chain solutions and services company which has been in existence for over 18 years now. Charlie has been with 3M, Coca-Cola, and Chevron, among others, holding leadership positions in supply chain functions in Asia, Middle East, and Africa regions. Charlie has a courier company in the Philippines and also has an MBA degree and PhD and certifications in supply chain, procurement, and logistics management. He's happily married with Janet Yater, and together they have twin sons, Juan Miguel and Juan Gabriel. Charlie is also a devoted father and a covenanted member of Ang Ligaya ng Panginoon community. Everyone, let us all welcome our speaker for tonight, Mr. Charlie Villaseñor.
Thank you very much, Gun. It's very good to be here. Thank you to Power in You for facilitating this webinar. I look forward to sharing my thoughts on the topic of supply chain. Well, the topic that was given to me is actually talking about better supply chains. And there is no better time to talk about this right now. As we all have seen, we've been bombarded with a lot of things affecting the supply chain since the start of the year. We had a lot of natural calamities. We've got trade wars. We've got the current coronavirus, all rattling the supply chain. So I thought that in my effort of sharing something to you, I'll focus on what are the different outlooks that's coming from me and the different best practices with regards to this particular subject matter. You know, the new decade is going to focus on a lot of things with respect to business competitiveness and how companies are going to be competing hardly in the arena and to become more sustainable. I actually broke down my presentation on three major arenas. I wanted to really share with you how we look at things, you know, from a supply chain perspective. I know that some of you here are coming from different backgrounds. Some of you are running their own business, are part of human resources, and many of you are coming from the supply chain profession. But let me put things in perspective in terms of challenges and outlook with regards to this particular topic. But more importantly, I think it's very important for all of the participants of this webinar to actually see what are the available best practice. And I'm going to really cite hard and real cases on how things are really evolving in this particular area of concern. I'm going to start off with sharing to you what supply chain is all about. Basically, it's a network of organizations linked together, performing different activities that produce value in the form of a product or service. So supply chain is very much, you know, applicable not only to manufacturing entities of diverse verticals, but particularly also even for banks, even for BPO companies, and even for any, you know, services companies, because companies need to plan, they need to source materials or resources, they need to turn it into something else, they need to deliver it, and they actually need to return some of this, which you actually call reverse logistics. But why is supply chain important? I always say that supply chain is the business, because overall, there's really no better avenue to really improve profitability and competitiveness other than supply chain by working with the entire value chain of the organization. Because when you look at the supply chain, they're the ones in charge in procurement costs, inbound logistics, manufacturing, outbound. It's basically all at the same time working capital management. So at the end of the day, we have a choice to actually improve it, or we increase our return on investment, or we lose it. But that's not a walk in the park. When you manage supply arenas, there is the most important part of what companies are really pursuing on. What they actually pursue is all about risk management. There's a connotation that supply chain and procurement is looking always for the lowest cost. That's not certainly correct, and we highly refute that perception, because the priority of a supply chain professional or an organization is really managing risk of the business, taking care of the total cost of ownership of the things that they actually acquire, creating value for the organization, making them more unique and advanced and up to the market, and making the organization more sustainable. I'm talking about environmental, social, and governance. And sustainability is a big talk and a big implementation concern for many organizations. Who else could really lead sustainability efforts other than the people who actually are involved in the end-to-end value delivery to their customers? Let me give you my personal outlook on how. I've been working with a lot of companies. Many of them are multinationals. A lot of them also are local conglomerates and SMEs. But this is what I actually see in the market. First, people are really underdeveloped. In many countries, including Philippines or in other ASEAN countries, we still don't really have a solid foundation of education in terms of providing supply chain curriculum. But more importantly, we see is like there's a lot of brother-in-law relationships, not only coming from the ground level, but even very senior executives of company. I'm referring here to executives and employees who would normally have their hands on the cookie jar. This is basically corruption that I'm talking about. The second thing that I actually get to see is like companies are very streamlined in their HR function, in their audit function, and their finance function. But the laggards in the implementation of their own function is really the supply chain, procurement, and logistics. They miss out all of the process. Some of them would normally mislabel procurement as to the word purchasing because they're very poor in their execution. But we always say the reason why it's really purchasing because the people who are the end users are very much forecasting, very poor on the planning side of the business. So what do you see? You see out of stocks, you see problems in working capital and inventory management. But then technology is rapidly evolving. Most of these technologies that company has are basically what we call the ERP systems. Supply chain were never involved at the onset on how to actually acquire the right features and functionalities of these technologies. Many companies, as big as they are, they implemented technologies without preparing their team to really know how to optimize this level of technology. So there's a lot of wastage as to what they've already invested at the upfront, only to find out that a lot of these modules or features are not fully optimized. We are facing a tremendous avalanche of risk for many organizations. Supply risk, where do you look for your masks, for your hand sanitizers, for your alcohol? If there's nothing to sell, there's no revenue. No revenue, no salary. The demand risk is also coming about. A lot of technology are replacing traditional products. The process list on organizing a company is very much of a concern. And more importantly, more and more compliance and regulatory requirements are coming into place. You need to be more environmentally friendly. You need to be serving the community and the social good. And more importantly, corporate governance is getting to be more important and making sure that the supply chain is on the spotlight. I talk a lot to a lot of CEOs and board of directors of companies. And the harsh truth is like many of the people sitting on the board level of many of these companies are unaware or unprepared to really address and provide their inputs on the supply chain of the business. Most of their backgrounds, the directors' backgrounds, are coming from marketing, sales, and finance, or even HR. But poor to say that not a lot of people are coming. That's why I'm getting a lot of invitation to be part of this board, simply because they look at it as a growing area of competitiveness. But let's take back and pull back and look at how the profession is actually evolving. There's not a lot of talent. People are being poached. There's scarcity of people on this particular function and profession. And the skill sets are not well assumed by the professionals. They're very much tactical in undertaking. What do I mean tactical? A lot of the things that they do are predominantly operational activities. They're not really strategic. But the evolving context of skills are moving from strategic to more cognitive. What do I mean by cognitive? It's adapting business 4.0. They want to understand what is artificial intelligence, predictive analysis, cognitive sourcing, and the like. And this is very important now as the new set of skills for the supply chain professionals. Augmentation requirement. The procurement, supply chain logistics are always going to be deprived of human resources, especially of people, because it's basically an additional cost. And there are peak and valleys of the requirements in terms of available people. So there's going to be more and more requirement on this area. The other thing that we see is like, this environment is very toxic. You know, working in a supply chain arena is very stressful. We think that there are continuing eroding values. You know, people fight together, fight with each other. People, you know, stumbles on difficulties, and they cannot keep up with the right values to keep up what is actually good for them and for the company. I'm going to fast track a few of these slides, but the capabilities will continuously increase. More and more companies are going to be demanded to really put more effort on their planning systems, demand forecasting, optimization of tools, and getting companies working together without having very stringent silos. But the difficulty about this is like, and there are human resources people on this webinar, finding talent is so difficult, especially with the new breed of requirements. Hiring talent is also going to become a struggle. But more importantly, retaining talent is a nightmare for many companies. The millennial workforce is very different nowadays. You know, it used to be that when I was working, I would tend to stay, you know, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. But that's not anymore the case for the new breed of generation. Because 80% of the people working in supply management by 2025 will be millennial or Generation Z. They have very different attitudes, appreciation, and the type of learning that they will require is not traditional like sitting in a classroom. They want to be more informal. They want to be more of like a mentorship where they can actually develop a learning experience that's going to be practical for them to actually deploy and implement. Let's take a look on how important corruption index are. Countries that are very bad in this particular grading system is going to be left behind. And it will affect the people on how they conduct themselves, especially in business and enterprises. So it's very important to watch this because the lower you are in terms of doing this in the right mode, the worse you can be in terms of implementing it in your own respective company. Because there are very important aspects of things that needs to be done in a company. Companies are moving into transformation, but the real problem of that is like they teach and they deploy changes in technical skills. What we normally find out is like it's very important before anything is done that you embed the organization with the right ethics and the right values. Supply management would be the driving force to attain sustainability. I'm talking about environmental again, social, and governance. And this actually not only affects people that works in this particular function, this actually incorporates everybody within the value chain, the IT people, the human resourcing, accounting, sales, marketing, legal, and everybody. And it goes also direct to the suppliers whom they actually get to work with. This slide will actually tell you that companies that are ethical are also the ones that are highly profitable. This is a proven fact. I get to New York quite every year. I stay in New York Hilton. There's an organization there called World's Most Ethical Companies. And compliance and supply management people come together. They submit their numbers, and it all boils down to one thing. Ethics is good business after all. Because ethics is actually good for good decisions, and good decisions are good for business. And companies nowadays are able to attract better employees and workforce because employees right now look for companies that are highly ethical. So there is also an emerging and fast trending development into the level of technology. Technology is moving very fast. Supply chains are the one that's going to talk to you about business analytics, electronic procurement, demand and supply chain management, robotics, cognitive learning, artificial intelligence, all the way to blockchain. So our field is changing, and supply chain is getting to be more exciting for many students who are going to enter the workforce. Let me share to you a few things about best practices, given the outlook that I've actually just presented to you. So companies are asking us, like, so what can we do? If supply chain is the business, what are our options? You, as companies and professionals, have a lot of options. And let me just talk a little bit about one thing. I'm going to divide it into plan, source, and move. In the area of supply chain planning, first and foremost is to really identify where you are and where you're actually and how you're actually going to close the gaps in your forecasting, business planning, sales and operations planning. Because this is the first and most important step. You have to be cohesive. You have to be determined in your area of forecasting and supply chain analytics. This is all about scheduling. It's all about demand management. Companies are investing and are hiring MBAs or really talented workforce to be part of this and to drive this for the business. Because if the planning has been done well, the execution is going to just follow. Procurement is a core of competitiveness because money saved is money to the bottom line. So companies are really assessing how they're doing in their execution of procurement. Two ways of doing this. They actually do spend analysis and qualitative review. Very important that they look at people, process, enablers, and governance. Buying is easy, but strategic sourcing or category management, as most leading companies are doing, is much more demanding, but the outcome and the outputs is overwhelming. Electronic catalogs, supply market intelligence, and more importantly, supplier risk assessment is going to be the most important part of this segment because the business is very much dependent on the inputs of the suppliers. You want to make sure that your suppliers are the appropriate partners of your business. So in the same context, when we will look into the move area, which is about logistics and warehousing, assessment is very important, making sure that you actually deploy things like vendor managed inventory, cross-docking, lean warehousing, managed solution, transportation systems, and warehouse management. The world is already being Uberized, and warehousing and logistics are going to be the natural succession to this particular arena, and it's already happening for many organizations. Just look at the different countries wherein business conglomerates are moving to the business of logistics. There must be an enticing reason for them moving to this particular industry. So we in PASIA, over the last 20 years, has been organized in different facets. We have the Institute, we have the Shared Services Organization, we have a BPO company that actually is tax, incentivized by the government to serve companies worldwide. And we have a trading unit, and we are also part of a global organization called ADR that actually provides strategic sourcing learning or strategic procurement learning and education for companies for the last 35 years. So these organizations work together under a single umbrella, which is actually us in PASIA. Our area of expertise is basically helping companies look at where their improvement opportunities are, develop them, and handhold them, because training is good, but companies are saying we still need to have some handholding for us to be really able to deliver that particular value. Technology is an important part of our efforts to make sure that the process is repetitive and scalable. But as you can see here, nothing is achievable if the organization doesn't really has the right ethical parameters conducted in their business. We simply call it plan, source, move to be able to really get the business on the front lines of its competitors. Down with this is looking at what are the available help that companies could actually take in. You know what? You probably have seen that payroll has been outsourced, logistics has been outsourced, courier has been outsourced. Many of the organizations, from security to what have you, marketing, they're basically outsourced. You'll notice that the procurement function that is actually beset with a lot of pain activities, supply chain, the only time that they get recognized when there are failures in the organization. This is not a very glamorous type of position to be. The only time that they get to really be admired, if there is no errors in their process. And this is not achievable at a certain extent. Procurement, supply chain, and logistics needs to be augmented. We don't call it outsourcing. Outsourcing is a bad word for me. What I really think is like organizations can be outtasking some of their trivial non-core activities, or they can actually get augmented in areas where they need help at certain point in time. And we provide this to the organization. Our global partners sits across different geographic entities. We're very much part of the federation, where it allows us to see what's going on in 56 countries. We work with, Association for Supply Chain Management, which is the biggest supply chain organization worldwide based out of Chicago. We work with different technology partners because we need to have the right combination of technologies and best practices along these different lines. And we are committed to work with different universities as well. These universities are very important as we actually move on to scaling up the resources that is needed to be put up in this particular function of the business. And modesty aside, at the very onset that we put this together, we were busy receiving some good, recognition and awards. But we all the while said that since we are already recognized, we have to focus more on delivering the value to many countries or many companies across different countries. So where do we actually focus? Every industry is different. A semiconductor industry is very different from oil and gas. An oil and gas is very different from a BPO company. A BPO company is going to be very different to energy or retail companies. We try to actually manage them into what we call verticalization because their peculiarities are very different and very common as well to a certain extent. So how do we manage doing all of these things? It's all about people. We have to make sure that the management is in order, that we have the right expertise, and we actually have to be multinational because as we delivered our expertise in Japan or in Taiwan or in China or in Middle East or in India or in Singapore, Malaysia or Indonesia or even in the Philippines, that we have the right resources to actually execute it depending on their priorities. So let me actually get to see is like one area is really very important is really looking at the maturity assessment of your organizations. You really need to harness your saw or sharpen your saw to be able to really cut across the difficulties that you're going to encounter. So I highly suggest that companies get to stop for a while or pause for a while and see where their opportunities of strategic imperatives can actually be deliberated on. You need to see it from a mirror and you need to see it from an independent view. So external third-party professionals should be able to do this for you. Because it's really assessing these 4 areas: organization and people, which is the first thing, the process, that technology and enablers, and even governance and control. Because you want to make sure that you understand the saying that I believe so much. Companies are going to compete on their supply chain, and companies are not going to compete on the products or services that they produce. That's why when you look at procurement and supply chain, you need to really understand what's their strategy and vision, how they're organized, what are their processes, do their people have the right skills, what's their appreciation about cost and value management, and what are their enablers, and how are they actually going to go forward to sustain this very important process. Skills development is going to be so much more important nowadays. Not because they're not only available, but the landscape is changing very, very fast. What do I mean about this? Companies, as we operate more for globalization in a globalized environment, we need to submit ourselves to global standards. So we try to help and extend our supply chain academies. Some companies are starting to have their own academies. It takes them 5 to 10 years to complete such process. We're competing here for time, and if we are able to provide all of the valuable coursewares, online systems, training needs analysis, including examination and testing, and strategic projects, I think the companies could actually go and implement and reap the benefits in less than 12 months. Certification is very important. How many of you are running your finance department with CPA, Certified Public Accountants? How many of you goes to the doctors that are board passers? How many of you have legal attorneys who are actually lawyers who took the bar? And for you to be asked, how many of your people in charge of making your company competitive and manages your working capital are certified in supply chain? It's a very hard truth, but we barely cannot see a lot of people who are certified in this particular profession. So we're highly encouraging companies to ensure, and we're seeing this from many multinational companies, they hire and they promote people who are certified because it just gives them a sense of responsibility and ownership and towards the advancement of the profession and the practice. What am I talking here when I talk about the contents of the training and the certification? I'm talking here with real subject matter of interest. This is just not telling them what to learn, but you're really imparting the knowledge to them for them to be able to apply it. We know that most of the people have college degrees, so we want to make sure that they are given the exact and right and rigor and robustness of the content to be able to achieve what they need to actually learn. Let's talk a little bit about procurement. Any savings that is derived by good negotiations or good strategic sourcing process impacts the bottom line. So these are the types of subject matters to actually really appreciate. Price and cost differences, deconstructing price, stakeholder engagement. This is the topics that really brings value to the organization. Because more and more companies, as we are seeing them left behind, they try to be stagnant and do buying where strategic sourcing is not in their menu of activities. And of course, when you take a look at warehouse and logistics, you need to look into what is warehouse management, what is transportation management, and what is distribution management. Why do we need to have this? Because this occupies something like 30% of your cost of doing the business. So if you don't manage this, you miss out the opportunity, and your prices and your overheads are going to be higher than your competitor. All put together, it can actually be integrated. In PASIA, we are moving proactively and progressively. So we have to make sure that we actually provide new certification programs that is focused on achieving sustainability for the organization and moving towards the digital era that we're actually coming into existence. We are also providing best-in-class, globally recognized focus topics like production and inventory management, supply chain professional, logistics, and transportation. There's a big difference in pricing, but some companies do prefer a few of this. That goes with it some real good textbooks to be shipped out to the attendee students. The academies is very robust, so you can actually customize some of these learning topics depending of what your organization actually gets to appreciate or did for their organization. We do this in a few ways. We do this a lot, almost every day across the globe, of doing a lot of public trainings. We do it in 5-star hotel, or we can do it in educational centers. But we do this more often now to in-house corporate organizations who wants to train their employees together so that they're all at the same page. They're using the same systems and appreciation and exercises. So after the training, they get to work out specific tasks that would improve the way they actually conduct their business. A few examples here are a lot of companies, around 386 companies that we have supported and trained and consulted, and we have deployed a lot of these practices here in Asia, here in the Philippines, and even in North America. So these companies are hard-pressed and are really trying to hone the skills of their people. And these companies are attracting the right talent. Why? The professionals know that they're going to have continuous development in these companies that makes them highly valuable in their field of endeavor. With the coronavirus, this is our response. It's very hard for some companies to send their people to China to some other countries or what have you. They are using more of the online learning. This is not watching a video or looking to some content on the social media. This is done and created by supply chain professionals for the supply chain professionals. So it really has the right content for them to be able to apply this to their specific projects. It's time-phased. It can be done in different modules. And it's quite interesting and easy to operate on. The services that is along with it is about the fact that why do companies need services or to be augmented? Because they just don't have the resource and the scalability to adapt to the increasing work pressures of their supply chains. So even the demand planning process are starting to be out-tasked. There are areas there, like on the blue side, that can never be out-tasked. You have to keep it and you have to make it done by your internal resources. The reason why you actually out-task some of these activities because you want to achieve more for the organization. You're not really imparting them, but it's really positioning your company to focus on where it really matters. So in the area of procurement, there's a lot of areas to actually get to out-task this. And these are some of the areas that you can actually start considering to get augmentation help. So what I'm saying is, like, don't be afraid to get the expertise and the talent from where it really comes to where expertise or talent or resources exist. Try to tap some of them because, as an example, if you want to really get better procurement, there's a lot of areas that you cannot do as an organization. You need to be augmented in these particular areas. What am I talking about here? Augmentation or support can be made available in the areas of supplier assessment, identification of supplier, processing the indirect low-value spend, doing spend analytics, doing materials coding, up to implementing some level of technology that is important for the organization. All of these things are out-taskable and can be done through an augmentation effort. Business analytics is getting to be much more in demand right now because this actually provides the line of sight where focus needs to be done. A lot of companies haven't really streamlined the way they actually put up their materials coding and standardization. You probably have to hire an army to start cleaning all of the SKUs, but you actually get to do spend analytics as well. But this requires a lot of human effort, and sad to say, this is quite laborious. Even though you have the right level of technology, you still need people who's going to normalize the data, rationalize the data, and categorize the data. And more, suppliers are going to become the backbone of your business. Poor suppliers will lead to factory closures, difficulty in getting the right deliveries on time, and higher costs. So companies are getting to be more stringent in assessing and accrediting their suppliers. Assessing suppliers are very difficult. For companies who are on the buying side, they just don't have the time and the expertise to do this. For the suppliers, they're angry because they keep on repeating the process for the same purpose, and it's highly costly for them. So what we did is to offer this as a service without any cost for the buying organizations. What do I mean by that? Any company who wants to make sure that the suppliers are well assessed and accredited, they give the names of our suppliers and we will go after the suppliers and report it to them. What really happens here is like suppliers gets to pay and we assess the suppliers in 8 parameters. Or if they don't want the whole stream of things, we can do 2 or 4 parameters. But this is rigorous assessment of suppliers where you can actually see who your suppliers are in terms of risk level. Are they low, medium, or high? And you can see it so transparently that you have not ever seen before. So there are a lot of features and functionalities of the program, and there's a cost from the suppliers. The cost is quite very minimal or nil. Suppliers are happy with this because it really saves them a lot of bunch of money and cost for making the information available to their customers. And they get exposed also to new buyers as well. So there's a lot of buyer benefits into this area. There's a lot of supplier benefits that they really like getting into this stream of things. So what is not there to be like in this particular type of engagement? These are just some of the companies who has been growing with us, hundreds of them. We do a lot of this and helping them launch this to their suppliers. So we talk to the suppliers and we launch them. So we're expanding globally in a big way. We're turning the Philippines from a call center to what we call the supply chain hub of the world, because this is where a KPO is really much more in demand, moving it from just business processing to more knowledge processing activities. And ultimately, we're creating the platform where it's easy for you to look for suppliers. So if you're looking for a laptop or anything, all you need to do is to type it, and the suppliers in your street, in your city, in your country will just pop up and show up, including globally, and categorize them as manufacturers, distributors, or resellers. We make things easy for you, including looking at market intelligence. Why am I sharing all of this? Because I'm just sharing this because these are the things that company does, but they don't have the bandwidth to actually get to make this available to their organization, including things like electronic biddings as an example, or trying to outtask some specific category of spend. For procurement people, they know that they do process low value items like office supplies. Maybe they wanted to actually take a look to how they're going to change the way they're going to implement this. Lastly, we will not be complete without talking a bit more about technology. So technology is a very important piece. So if you need anything in particular on your forecasting, in your procurement, or in your logistics system, there are available resources, because we have done it to San Miguel Corporation, implemented the e-procurement system. We have done this for ICTSI in early 2000. We have done a lot of e-procurement. The thing that we see is like we are going to expand our shared services. We're going to also make sure that our commitment to sustainability is working with companies out there like you. We can provide benchmarking forums and the like. But we have actually changed the way we actually do our business. We just so happen to be serving and delivering ethical practices. And it just so happened that we know a little bit about supply chain, procurement, and logistics. So last year, I was so glad that my team in the company totally revised our corporate goal. They were the one who did it. They said, our corporate goal at the end of the day is to really honor our God through the works and efforts that we actually do to make things a better place to operate in the area where we actually say we're good at. And every week we come together. We come from different religion or faith. even though we come from different religion and faith, we still come together for an hour and a half. We pray over each other. We create some level of teachings. This is our 24 topics that we ask people to, to tell us what circle we pray over them. It's just like a family, because at the end of the day, our jobs are stressful and it can never be delivered by just having the right strategy. We think that culture is the most important thing that can beat down any strategy of any company. So we find it as very important that integration of people, process, and enablers is going to be the right focus. So in summary, we think that over the last 20 years, we have found a niche, which is really being a unique player in this segment, because we believe that good supply chain are good for many organizations. And if we are able to help organizations to become better, ultimately it helps economies to grow better and results to better nation building. But at the end of the day, if the nation is good, the lives of the people will be so much better than now that we're actually living in. So all I can say is, like, our purpose is to really make sure that the most important thing in Islam is the one that we actually get to focus on. So I would turn this thing over to June for anything, and that's my little presentation. I know I did it in a fast mode, but I wanted to cover as much as I could given the amount of time that was actually given.
Well, thank you very much, Charlie, and truly we appreciate it. We know that there was not a whole lot of time for your presentation, but certainly very educational, highly enlightening, and very energizing, to say the least. Now, we'd like to open this up for questions, and we'd like to invite the participants to feel free to type in their questions in the Q&A or chat box. In the meantime, Charlie, while we're waiting for the participants to think of their questions, I just, very quickly came up with a couple for my own as I was listening to your presentation. And maybe some of these things you might have really thought through as well as observed. Charlie, we know that, you within your organization or in partnership with your client or partner or companies, you have seen best practices, particularly in the area where you delved a little bit extensively earlier when you talked about the new generation of workforce. Requires a lot of different engagement, a lot of, should we say, retention, development of talent. So what best practices have you seen in the long years that you've spent in this space where companies have actually harnessed the power of and the potential of this new generational workforce?
Okay, June, that's a very good question. The workforce is getting to be more towards those a segment of the professionals coming in. We think that there's a lot of technical skills that are necessary for everybody, but everybody has space in the supply chain, even the baby boomers themselves, like us, June. And it's very important that you have a balance on how you approach things. And it's very difficult under the environment of supply chain, because supply chain is really a very stressful arena to operate on. So my simple and plain advice here is, like, you have to combine technical skills with values in the organization. That's why I don't really miss out the opportunity to tell the different organizations of what we're trying to do. We're still in a lot of work in progress here, June. But I think we're reaping the benefits of how we're trying to change the culture in our organization. I think that is something that is not easily duplicated, because the company has to really start somewhere if they really wanted to build a culture of excellence. And it starts really with values for the organization, respect for another, and those types of things.
Charlie, I have another question for you. You've been in this supply chain and procurement space for the longest time, at least 18 years, and highly reputable companies. And in your broad network of existing, prospective, former, as well as long-term clients, have you seen any particular industries or verticals that are quite advanced versus others in terms of embracing these new evolving principles of supply chain and procurement, and therefore are kind of ahead of the pack, so to speak, probably echoing what you are evangelizing. Have you seen any particular verticals that have kind of advanced versus the rest?
It's difficult to say, June, across the globe because every geographic entity has a different position or context in their implementations. But maybe I could guess it's the food and beverage industry is quite having a lot of rigor in terms of practices on this area. Um, the technology companies are really on that pace already. But out of the last 18 years that I've been doing here, I think a lot of the companies are still playing a catch-up mode to get into this area. And the reason behind this is like it's not getting to the attention of the owners and the board of directors of the business. We need to take this up not to the procurement or supply chain leaders. We need to take this up to the board of directors and owners of the organization. That's why I spend most of my time meeting board of directors and owners of the companies, because these are the ones who's going to really drive transformation in their own respective business areas of interest.
Sounds like you're after a crusade, Charlie.
It's basically an advocacy and a business. That's why we're trying to hit two birds with one stone with our entities.
Charlie, as you said earlier, if it accounts for 70% of the business, it needs to be addressed, and the people at the board level need to recognize that. I have a call-in question here, or a chat typed-in question from Singapore, Charlie. So let me read it. What is the top one challenge that you see in making Philippines a supply chain hub for the world?
Trained professionals. Because we don't have any university that really teaches this for a long time. We're just starting. So scalability is important. That's why we're addressing this also in several ways. Like, I think we could really scale up by making our educational systems online, so it doesn't really cost so much to the students. But at the same time, it's really able to fast track, people with even no college degrees can really learn this. A lot of people that comes out of college are not employment ready. They are educated, but they are not employment ready. And supply chain is quite different. You need to be employment ready to be able to get into the workforce. So the challenge really is, but I see it as a significant opportunity also, because we've got a lot of highly educated workforce here. The only thing that we need to do is to really spend some time to really train them on the core expertise that is necessary to advance the Philippines. And I think the Philippines could remain as the most viable supply chain back office capital of the world. I really believe in that, June. So I think we have something here that's not easily duplicable by other geographic entities.
When you consider other countries that have, for instance, excellent infrastructures like Singapore, and obviously from what I hear from you, this is aspirational because the raw talent is there as far as the Philippines is concerned. How do we compare in terms of perhaps catching up or bringing the Philippines to the level of where advanced countries like Singapore is right now?
This is a great opportunity for Singapore to actually work together. I think there's a symbiotic relationship that can spark between these two countries. And even with countries like even Malaysia or Indonesia or ever nearby Southeast Asian countries. Singapore has lots of good infrastructure and technology. The Philippines can complement it with the right workforce and scalability of this workforce also. So we're looking at that. We have an office in Singapore, June. We've got Dino Lim Hub there, and we're expanding there as well, and so with Malaysia. I think we are well positioned. 2/3 of the world economy will be in Asia in the next 8 years, according to Asian development banks, and we're preparing to gear up for that because the supply chain hub is going to really bustle in here in this region.
So it seems, Charlie, if I'm hearing you correctly, it's more collaboration rather than competition.
No, it's not really a competition, June. It's really more of like everybody's going to earn their big dividends out of collaboration, because Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, or even Vietnam would really complement and work together as a region, and even outside of the region. Even in the US, we could complement it a lot with their high level of technology adaptation. So talk about business analytics. Business analytics technology is already there, but somebody still has to normalize, rationalize, and categorize the data to make it more meaningful. And we have the scalability to support that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Charlie, for all of those very acute responses and laser-focused responses to those questions.